Throughout the Cultivate part of our journey, I tried, however imperfectly, to talk about God. My hope was to shed light on why things are so messed up and what God has done about it. I know there were some hurdles to get over as we move through these topics. Many questions, no doubt, remain in your mind and heart, and that's okay. We don't have to have every question answered, every skeptical thought abolished, every loose end tied up in a neat bow. We can choose to progress forward despite some degree of uncertainty. The thing is, a leap of faith is required in just about every area of life that I can think of. Stepping into a relationship with someone who might bring you tremendous joy, but who could also break your heart, involves risk. There are no guarantees that everything will go exactly according to plan. Quitting a job and trying something new is full of unpredictable challenges, but the hope of experiencing new opportunities often justifies the step into the unknown. Even in an area of study like science, which is based on empirical evidence, leaps of faith are involved. Listen to the words of atheist biologist Richard Lewontin. He said, "Our willingness to accept scientific claims that are against common sense is the key to an understanding of the real struggle between science and the supernatural. We take the side of science in spite of the patent absurdity of some of its constructs, in spite of its failure to fulfill many of its extravagant promises of health and life, in spite of the tolerance of the scientific community for unsubstantiated just-so stories, because we have a prior commitment, a commitment to materialism, the belief that what we see is all that exists." So Lewontin is acknowledging that he, as a scientist, starts with a bias, taking the side of a belief or a hope and allowing that to be his prior commitment. And having that prior commitment doesn't mean that there's no apparent absurdity. It doesn't require each promise to be proven beyond a doubt. He's noting that many scientists have a bias towards materialism and that this bias helps them to take a leap of faith in accepting some scientific claims. And this is not meant as an attack against science, not at all. I just want to make the point that any belief system and many of our important decisions in life will involve an act of trust. So whether we choose to embrace atheism or Christianity, either way, we typically take a leap of faith, and then we read and we open our minds to things that confirm that way of thinking. In doing so, that view becomes more cemented in our minds, and it influences the way we look at the world and answer the big questions of life. Because of this, I believe it's worth looking at different belief systems and running with them to their logical conclusion. So which belief systems best lead towards truth, beauty, goodness, hope, and meaning? Why would we embrace one which doesn't even claim to lead us to our true purpose and a meaningful existence? This is what Blaise Pascal was thinking about when he wrote, "And how can such an argument as this occur to a reasonable man? I do not know who put me into this world, nor what the world is, nor what I am myself. I am terribly ignorant about everything. I don't know what my body is, or my senses, or my soul, or even that part of me which thinks what I am saying, which reflects about everything and about itself, and does not know itself any better than it knows anything else. I see the terrifying spaces of the universe hemming me in, and I find myself attached to one corner of this vast expanse without knowing why I've been put in this place rather than in that. All I know is that I soon must die. But what I know least about is this very death that I cannot evade. Just as I do not know whence I come, so I do not know whither I am going. All I can know is that when I leave this world, I shall fall forever into nothingness or into the hands of a wrathful God. But I do not know which of these two states is to be my eternal lot." Now, none of us wants to end up in a place of confusion and despair, but we also don't want to be made the fool. And this causes us to struggle with faith in God. No one likes to be deluded or lied to. We don't want to be on the receiving end of deception. But if either way there is a leap of faith, Wouldn't we rather the one that ends in the fulfillment of our desires and a life of purpose? Wouldn't we rather that be the one that's true? And if it might be true, wouldn't it be worth exploring more perhaps than you already have? Might it be worth committing to some new habits that will help you build your life on a solid foundation that won't shift with changing circumstances? I know that might feel like a risky investment or even a waste of time. And you might have already given faith a try and it didn't seem to help much. But what if there is more than what you are currently experiencing because there was a level of commitment to a way of life that you haven't actually tried yet, or you didn't try for long enough? Wouldn't it be worth to give it another chance, especially if there is a possibility of arriving to a place of inner peace where you know who you are and you know beyond a doubt that you are seen, known, respected, and loved? So I am praying that you have just a little more hope than skepticism, that you will commit to not just continuing to listen, but also to laying down some new habits of behavior, that you will be open enough to allow a new perspective to enter your mind, that you might allow a new narrative to form as you look at the story of your life. I believe you want to live a life of meaning and purpose. I know of no better way to do that than to engage your head and your heart. As you search for answers and meaning, it will always be tempting to turn to data and science to prove or disprove the various ways that we can look at life and answer its biggest questions. I would encourage you to engage your head and to learn all that you can, but not to rule out truths that are unseen. And this is especially critical if you are trying to figure out if God exists. Would Hamlet have thought Shakespeare existed? Shakespeare couldn't be perceived or seen by him, but Shakespeare was certainly there all along, writing the grand narrative.